Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Boomer Live once again. Here we are live to talk about New Zealand versus Sri Lanka. The news from the center is that New Zealand they won the toss. They've chosen to ball first in Chinnaswamy. Obviously, it's a no-brainer to ball first in Chinnaswamy after what they had to go through in the last match. As always, the weather prediction in Chinnaswamy is a big zero, 95% rain predicted, and it's sunny in Bangalore right now. It's as classic a Bangalore weather as you can get. And yeah, so far it looks good. Rains might come in at some stage in the day, and it will be a halted or a stop start kind of a game, is what I'm assuming it should be. And there could be some reduction of overs, maybe 10, 15. So, on all bases, a chasing team gets an advantage in that regard. So, I have Jaren with me. Jaren, a big toss to win in Chinnaswamy today, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think we predicted this yesterday as well that both the teams will be desperate to chase because of how the DLS method, really favors a team that chases because you know your target, you know if you have to go bonkers, you have to save your wickets, and sometimes when it comes to DLS method, it becomes a test match then where you're trying to save your wickets and not really throw away the runs, and that pressure will now come on the opposition as well, who have to score a very good target, and put some pressure on the opposition because it's very much possible that this might just a T20 match, and that's where you have to probably the opening team also has a dilemma where either they go after the bowling or they preserve the wickets and get to a steady target because you don't know how or which way it's going to be. But having said that, again, Bangalore weather is probably the most unpredictable weather in the country because of the kind of conditions, because of the fact that it is in the middle of Western Ghats. You don't know how and what really influences weather here. So predictions are very difficult, and I think you can predict the winner of this World Cup more easily than the weather in Bangalore.
Actually, very true on that. But there's no accurate point. You have Sandeepani joining us as well. Sandeepani, if you look, the kind of changes New Zealand have made already, they had to take out Isodi. Isodi has been a disappointment for that matter in this World Cup. Couple of games he did not look in good rhythm, and the last game against Pakistan, especially bowling in a small Chinnaswamy surface. If you do not have experience, you can go for plenty of runs. Lockie Ferguson coming in for New Zealand, a massive bolster for their pace attack, and I think that's the right way to go.
Yeah, I think so because Ish Shodhi looked completely ineffective in the last game at Chinnaswamy because I felt at that stage if Pakistan would have been challenged with some serious pace, uh, it could have turned things in their favor because Fakhar Zaman was not really challenged even in the early on stages of his game, and the spinners were pretty ordinary as well. You had a Glenn Phillips holding his head, making all sorts of animated expressions after each delivery, and each delivery he was getting hit for a four or a six. So I mean, the spinners haven't really been effective for New Zealand in this World Cup apart from Mitchell Santner. He has been the only ray of hope, and I think Mitchell Santner has been this successful in this World Cup because he has slowed down his pace. He's looking to bring in some more variations because he's ideally a bowler who loves to keep it wicket to wicket and a very defensive bowler as well. I always maintain that a left arm bowler, basically a finger spinner, is more defensive. This is a common myth, or I mean, fact in cricket. Uh, but I think he has been more effective in this tournament because he has tried to vary his pace. He has looked clever. He has tried to attack. He has tried to bowl some more attacking lines than his general outings as well. So I think getting in Lockie Ferguson today to support him in the middle overs is going to be critical. And also, you see in the last few games, you haven't had. Okay, Matt Henry got injured in the last game, but he was fit today. But they still opted with the Team Saudi and
I
Lockie
think
Ferguson.
Matt Henry is ruled out of the World Cup.
Yeah,
So
ruled out of the World Cup. Sorry, but apart from that, I think still New Zealand had 15 people to choose from. This was the first time
yeah,
that they had
but
15
you
fit
wouldn't
people to
play
choose
Kyle
from.
Jamieson, right? I mean, Kyle Jamieson is highly volatile in these conditions, and he's
I
not
think
a
so is
wild
Lockie
card.
Ferguson. I don't really know
I think
how effective
With
Lockie
Lock,
Ferguson
you
will
can at
be.
least hit with pace, especially against an Asian
Yeah,
team like Sri Lanka.
that is a
You
that
can
that is a
really
very
have
good
the
point
advantage.
that his pace may be the factor that is working for him, but then again you have to depend on experiences of Tim Saudi to really come
Yeah,
good in times,
yeah.
and you would expect this New Zealand death bowling to do a better job because I feel that
I
they
mean,
have really
for me,
struggled in
they
this
had to go
tournament.
in with an extra pacer because going with two seamers against Pakistan, I thought was a very bad idea. For one reason, it just looked like two ballers and the rest of them are to just play around. And Mitchell Sandner couldn't do a job alone. And Isori was a bad option there. And they were handicapped as well. They had no other option. Lockie was injured. Kyle Jamieson could be a highly volatile option, as I mentioned. Would you guys be happy if your team is dependent on other teams to go the results to go their way and qualify? We'll take that question right now. Abel's biblical brother Cain and real brother Rachan ready to take on the world. Okay, Jaren, take this question on dependent
Yeah.
on other teams for the results to go. How would you feel if you're an Indian fan and you
No,
want
I
all
think
the other teams
I'll
to
be very
go
honest,
where
Abel.
they're
I think
going?
you should be the one to take that question. You're kind of used to it in the IPL, aren't you?
No, wait, I'm not. Trust me, I'm not. And it's not a good feeling. Trust me, Teju, whenever I've been there, let's just be IPL or even football for the matter. It's not a good feeling, to be very honest. It's just
It's
like
not. Yeah.
you're hoping on a lot of things. It doesn't give you the satisfaction. Okay, if it does happen, great. But you know the string attached to it is very feeble that you can lose. Maybe you might just get through, but you will lose at the end of the day at some stage. You won't win a tournament. You know that at the end of the day that you are not the most convincing team to make it. And RCB has made it.
Yeah.
I think it was 2021 season, if I remember, 2022 season when Mumbai Indians did a job for us, and we made it to the semi-final. We made it to the playoffs. We won the first game. The rope runs out very quickly, and you ran out. Butler came, smashed you. We were out of the tournament. So it was that kind of a thing. Your rope is going to run out. Similarly, Mumbai Indians this season hope for a GT to defeat RCB. It happened as they wanted. Went to the knockouts, won one game. The rope ran out very quick. Shubman Gill just threw them off the cliff. So, these kind of things keep happening every now and then. Pakistan did hope Netherlands to help them qualify. Did they win the World Cup? No. England
Yeah.
defeated them, demolished them. So that's what I'm trying to say. It might just work out on one of the occasions, but it just will not. It's not a sustainable model like you will go on to win the World Cup. It might happen once in a blue moon, but as a fan as well, you will get the
No,
brunt of it. What's the whole point? That's the whole question, right? Then Mumbai Indians are like, we came and helped you. What did you even go to achieve? Or it's a whole
yeah.
thing. It's a whole cycle.
Yeah, I mean, there's always this feeling that you don't deserve to be in that final or you don't deserve to win. I think, at least for a respected fan, you would feel that that's the kind of feeling they would have.
But
Because
I
you
also
want your
feel
team to be the
Pakistan are
one
not here to
to.
win it. I think they were not there to win it in the T20 World Cup as well. They reached the finals.
Yeah.
They were happy with it. Dil Pakistan was going on everywhere. And they were just happy that they went one step ahead of India. And I think this sort of competitiveness is what is leading to Pakistan's downfall. They just want to, I mean, they want other teams to do badly rather than them performing well and winning it. And then that sort of attitude will get you nowhere in the
Yeah,
long run.
absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's why I think this whole thing might just come to an end later today, and this whole dilemma and myth and whatever
I
the
think it was a very,
crap
very
is on.
important toss to win because even if you
Yeah,
Yeah.
have rain and I mean the rain settles in, rain is going to come. I mean, you should be rest assured
and the
you're not going to
weather
get a
around today in Bangalore seems a little humid as well, which means
yeah,
that also means Trent Bolt might get a lot of swing in that wicket, and that could
yeah.
possibly be Sri Lanka's nightmare. I mean, Sri Lanka doesn't like facing swing bowling, and if Trent Bolt is on song, that's
Yeah.
that's the red signs. Then Sri Lanka could possibly
I mean, and
capitulate for
also
a
the
very
fact
mere
that,
score.
I mean, although I think them bowling first will kind of nullify that, with the New Zealand bowling first, but then it's also got to do with the fact that now, even if it doesn't rain, right? I mean, which is
But
very much
trust me,
possible.
Jaren, in
Bangalore.
Bangalore, you get a lot more swing at this time than later at night.
Yeah,
I've
exactly.
always
So,
noticed it.
I mean, I think as far as I'm aware right now, it is a little bit more sunny, but then you know how Bangalore is; it can turn
But then
cloudy very
humidity is
quickly.
there. No, whenever humidity is there, the dew will settle in real quickly, and it will
That
be
is my
very, very
point.
easy to
Yeah,
score runs in the second
yeah.
innings as well.
And that was
And
going to be
also,
my
I
point as well.
yeah,
Precisely. Yeah. Go ahead.
exactly. And also you have the two teams who rely on their batting strengths. I think Sri Lanka has a heavier, I mean, better batting than their bowling. Similar is the case with New Zealand in this World Cup. So I think to get done with your I mean, weaker contingent quickly and rely on your batters who have been the strength for you in throughout this World Cup is also the right way to go. So I think a lot of things have gone in favor of New Zealand right at the toss itself. And I think now it's a really, really uphill battle. If you would have called it a
Yeah.
65-35 at the start of the game, with the toss, now it's a 75-25 even the first before the first ball is balled in favor of New Zealand.
Absolutely, absolutely. To be very honest, that's the way it looks like. I think to say still feel New Zealand is qualifying. Devon Conway's knock today. I mean, if Devon Conway plays big, you know that they are totally in for a
I think
big
he has
deal.
played enough golf. He mentioned that he has played some golf in the rest days. So I think it's time that he brings that power hitting skills to the ODIs as well.
I
Because
mean,
apart from
I'm
that
glad
152
that
not out,
he's. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm just
apart
glad
from
he
that
stayed away
152
from
not.
golf carts because that can be deadly apparently. But yeah, I mean, I think today for one fact is for sure that New Zealand have the advantage because it was a very important toss to win. It is obviously going to be difficult for them to ball in the sun. That I'll agree. But I think overall, if you look at the bigger picture, right now with the dew coming in, as Sandipani mentioned, the humidity really adds to the dew. Also, the
Yeah.
fact that the square boundaries are short, right? Biggest strength of New Zealand batters against the ones who do really well against spin. For example, Rachin Ravindra is a very good example. They love to sweep, and you've obviously got the square boundary short 60 and 67 meters. So, regardless of where you ball, it's going to be very difficult for Sri Lanka, who rely on their spinners. I think for today's match, two important bowlers for Sri Lanka is going to be one is obviously going to be Chamira, I think, and the other is obvious, and the other bowler is going to be Madhushanka. I think these two lads, if they can get some swing early on, before that ball gets,
Yeah.
the dew comes in and the ball gets colder and much
Yeah.
more easier for New Zealand to bat, then maybe there's
Yeah.
something on the cards for Sri
But if you
Lanka.
look, I don't think New
Otherwise,
Zealand will be so troubled by swing bowling. They could be troubled by spinners. Tikshana will have a job to do. Himanta will have a job to do. If they score an excess of 280, that is 250, 280, or anything in excess of 240 for that matter, they will have to make sure New Zealand's middle order is choked by spin. If you look at almost Sri Lanka's
No, I
every
think
win
Sri
against
Lanka will
New
have
Zealand
to
in big
score in excess
tournaments,
of 300 to pose any threat to this New Zealand batting lineup.
you
yeah,
have to. You
especially
have
with
to.
the
And
threat
it's
and
Chinnaswamy, guys. If
It's
400 looks
Chinnaswamy.
a feeble score here. So
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about. Is Sri Lanka
And
going
I
to get
think they
all
have
out
the
under
ability.
100?
I think it is going to be heavily reliant on a Kushal Mendes performance. I think batting first, Sri Lanka will look
Hmm.
to really attack. And I think today they are playing. Who are they opening with? Pathum Nisanta and
Pathum and
Kushal
Kushal
Perera.
Perera.
So
Kushal
I think
Perera.
that is the right call because I wouldn't have loved it if I mean in the last game you saw Karuna Ratne come in and you had Karuna
Yeah.
Ratne and Pathum Nissanka, both are very defensive sort of players
So
for ODI
I
especially.
think if you're playing a Karna Ratne, I generally feel he's more fit at number three, where
I
you
don't
get
think
him to
he's
do an
fit to play
anchor
white ball
inning.
cricket. Let's be
He is
very
Exactly. I
not,
honest.
don't
he is
think
not.
he's
But if
It
you
fit
doesn't
for white
really
fit.
ball.
have to play him,
No, I
like it
think I
is.
think it's opening or nowhere. Opening or nowhere for that.
Opening or
Number
nowhere.
three
Same.
is
I have the same
nowhere. No
opinion.
chance.
No, if
That
you
guy is
have to
off the
play
ball.
him, I don't think an opening spot is at all what he requires because
It's
I feel he
opening or
gets
nowhere.
stuck in the
Firstly, he
power play.
doesn't deserve a spot in that white ball team. There are better
Agreed.
players, I think, Sri Lanka who
Yeah,
can
yeah.
come in to replace him. But just that you've selected him, you just have to go in with it. He's your test
Yeah,
captain. What
also
do
I
you
I
think
think
expect?
the
Kushal
only
Perera
reason
is
he's
an X factor
selected.
player. I think Kushal Perera can change the complexion of the game in 10 15 overs when he's on form, when he's on song.
Yeah,
He's
I
another
think
Kushal Mendes
yeah,
sort of a player.
he's very much like a Fakar Zaman kind of player. In that
exactly.
small
Exactly.
Yes.
ground, he
Yeah.
could give you something more, and that's why I think New Zealand bowling first will give that advantage. Even if Kushal
Yeah.
Mendes goes berserk, they know they can catch up. It's not the case
And
with chasing, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's been the worst World Cup for a Trent Bolt because he's not got any swing. They've balled mostly in the morning. So today again, expect a very similar way because someone like a Trent Bolt, his natural length is a little bit more pushed up. It's a little bit more closer towards the stumps. And when there's no swing, you can easily convert that into half volleys. That's been what's been going. That's exactly what's gone wrong with the Trent Bolt. So if there's no swing, which is what I expect, at least in the morning, where there seems to be sunlight out there, but then it can change very quickly. It can become cloudy in the snap of a finger. But if it's not
Yeah,
cloudy, if it's as sunny as it seems, you expect that the swing is not going to be there, just like how it was when the Pakistan Pacers started to ball. So I think that'll just help, but it also means that someone like a Lockie Ferguson is an important addition to this team because if he can hit those right lengths early on, I think it can be important for them to just be able to perform well.
No, but I also
yeah,
feel today Sri Lanka are not playing the right squad because if you just look at the squad, they are playing one extra batter. Or I wouldn't call Chamika Karunaratne is a Shardul Thakur sort of a player. He looks a batter when he bowls. He looks a bowler when he bats. I don't know why Chamika Karunaratne is getting that long run. He
yeah,
was selected by KKR for some odd reason instead of a Dasun Shanaka. They went for Chamika Karunaratne, and he is that player who has been, given the blessing from the Sri Lankan board for a long, long time now. So I think it's high time
yeah.
that he comes good for them with the ball or with the bat because I can't remember a single inning that or a single performance of Chamika Karunaratne that has actually impacted the game in favor of Sri Lanka. So and they are
I
playing one bowler
remember
short.
against India in a T20 match. I
Yeah,
remember.
even
That
I was
is
going to say that.
irrelevant. I mean, Chamika
Why you
There was
Karunaratne
a
hate
got.
this
blue mood.
Gunatilaka, you hate Chamira Karunaratne. I don't know what's this hate towards Sri Lanka that you have.
No, it's not hate towards Sri Lanka. I just feel that they have some very mediocre cricketers. I
I
mean,
think you're the
below par
reverse of
cricketers.
Daniel Alexander. I think that's what you are.
No,
It's a
no, no,
good
no.
thing.
That's
It's
yeah,
a good.
it's
It's
a
a
good
compliment.
thing maybe, but I don't have any hate for them. It's just that I don't understand this selection because you have a Chamira who is going to bowl 10 overs, who is
The
going to be
reason
under
why Sri
pressure.
Lanka is not doing well in this World Cup is because they're not playing Gunatilaka. As simple as that.
Call what you may, but I think that the bowling is the weaker
Okay, I'll have to ask a
department.
question.
Yeah.
Would you rather have a Gunatilaka or a or a Karunaratne in this team?
Karunaratne definitely because I think Gunatilaka is a player who adds zero value to the team.
So
He is
you
no
say
Asila
Karunaratne is a
Gunaratne.
better
No,
white
I
ball
say
player than
Gunatilaka. I think he can score more runs. He's more attacking. He's got that adaptability as well.
yeah, I
I
think
mean, both are
Gunatilaka is a
very
better white ball player.
Can
Don't you
both
ball
are
as
very
well. If I'm
mediocre
not.
cricketers. Both are
No,
very,
but
very,
if you had
very
to choose
mediocre
one,
cricketers.
if you
In
had to
Test
hate
matches,
one leg,
Karunaratne, Gunatilaka
It's
in white
sad
ball. Simple as
that
that.
that is the sad part for Sri Lankan cricket that you have to now choose between a Gunatilaka and a Chamika Karunaratne after coming in from say a Chaminda Vas or a Kumar Sangakkara. This is the quality or standard that they have dropped to, and that is a very very sad part. But also talking about what the point that I was trying to bring out is they are just playing three specialist bowlers. You have a Thikshana, you
hmm.
have Chamira, you have Madhushanka. Madhushanka Thikshana will bowl their quota of 10 overs. Chamira is still prone to injuries. And then you have the likes of Angelo Matthews, Hemanta, Chamika Karunaratne, Dhananjay De Silva to do the job for you. And I think, oh no, even Hemanta is also not playing today. So you have Dhananjay De Silva, Chamika Karunaratne, Angelo Matthews to complete 20 overs
Next
among
Fab
themselves.
Four. Sachin Ravindra, Shubman Gill, Harry Brooks, Saim Ayub. See, the thing with Saim Ayub is that he still has to play an international match. He's just
Yeah.
stonking it in those flat surfaces in Karachi and Lahore. He's got that talent for sure. I
Same
mean,
with
I saw
Harry
him
Brook. I think Harry Brook will have
yeah.
to
Yeah.
perform in
See,
white ball
Harry Brook
cricket.
he's already got international centuries, right? Even all these players have got
Test
international
matches,
centuries.
different
Test
formats.
matches, all of them have international centuries. Maybe Rachin Ravindra doesn't have an international century in Test cricket, but nonetheless, he's got international centuries. Saim Ayub has got a long way to go. I think he's a one leg side bully at this point. I saw him play in CPL, a match winner for sure in the shorter format. I think to be a Fab Four, you will have to succeed in Test matches. I think if he can do
Hmm.
that, we'll see about it. But at this point, way too early to call
And
him
Harry will have to
Harry,
improve his white
a
ball
Fab
game
Four
because
player.
whatever his record boasts of in India, I think he won't deserve a place in this playing 11.
Who
Yeah.
are you talking about? Saim Ayub?
Harry Brook.
Harry Brook. Okay, yeah. I mean Harry Brook. I still think he will improve and he's done well in certain
He'll
conditions.
have
Maybe
to
except
improve.
India.
Just
No, I
scoring a
think
century in
England has
Eden
also
Gardens
been a
and
little
talking in a press
impatient with him.
conference will not help him.
I think England has been a little impatient with him. I mean, I'll obviously still say that choosing him over a Jason Roy was a blunder. Maybe a
Yeah.
Jason Roy over a Johnny Bairstow or a Joe Root, to be very frank. I admire Joe Root a lot. Johnny Bairstow has done a lot for England as well, but compared to them both, I think Jason Roy was in a much richer vein of form. But I think Harry Brook as well. They've been shuffling him like a pack of cards. Sometimes top of the order, sometimes middle order,
Yeah.
sometimes lower order. You need to fix him somewhere. I genuinely think he's a top order bat and opening bat,
That's
where he
been the
can
case
be
for
a lot
all the
more
I
aggressive.
still
batters,
think
all the batters, all the
I
players for
agree
England.
to this statement to the first three players. Harry Brook, I think, is a next
Yeah.
generation talent for England. I think if you give him time, he will still improve playing in Asian conditions. And I think he's got that will and that desire. He's got that drive about him. He wants to come out there, prove people wrong.
He's no
There's
Kevin
something about
Peterson,
him which will really
Abel.
push him to a large extent. So that one thing we'll see. If he does win a couple of IPLs in the coming future, you'll say that he will be there and thereabouts. But Saim Ayub, still to make an international debut, did well in CPL, did well in that final in Qaid-e-Azam Trophy. But I think way too early for him. I
Also, I
think
think Sachin
Yashasvi Jaiswal
Ravindra
is a better
has a
player.
long way to go. This is just the one tournament that he has come good for New Zealand, and I think I mean he has shown a lot of technique, a lot of class in this tournament itself. But then again, once your luck or once
I think
your
Rachin
reach of
Ravindra could be something we'll talk about in years
Yeah.
to come. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll talk about. Do you
But we
remember
have to see once your
2023
good
World Cup
form
that
runs
New
out.
Zealander? I
Yeah.
mean, even if you don't, even if it doesn't go on to succeed, you will go back into the, you'll go to 2040, 2045. You'll be like, do you remember 2023 World Cup that New Zealand left-hander who scored a lot of
Yeah.
runs? We'll talk about him in that way, like
Yeah.
one of
Hmm.
those kind of things. If he doesn't come good, but if you score runs in World Cup, you always get in memory. You know, it's not
I
like
think there is something about this lad, obviously. But now, every batter in international cricket will get that one phase where he performs well, he does a very good job, and then outright there's a slump, right, that comes in. Now that's where I
Yeah.
really look at a player and say, can you come out of this slump or not? And all the great players have Kane
And
Williamson,
how much
Steve Smith,
support do you
Virat
have
Kohli,
from the board
Joe
as
Root.
well?
Yeah,
At one point, the board will start getting impatient as well. The
exactly.
rope will run out for a Harry Brook or a Rachin Ravindra as well. The amount of investment that a BCCI will do for Shubman Gill once he starts performing badly for, say, 2 or 3 months is not what the luxury is not something that a Rachin Ravindra or a Harry Brook will get for their respective sides.
I agree. I agree with you totally on that. But no, at this point in the stage, at least they are the future of their country.
Yeah,
But let's
true.
just talk about Sri Lanka's batting away. Let's just come back to that. How much do you think Sri Lanka will be eyeing on from here? I mean, they are put to bat first, considering rain around, considering the conditions of Chinnaswamy. 300 is something they'll have in their mind, or they'll play according to the
I
pitch.
think 350 plus able. I'll be very frank. There are many reasons I say that, because there's a lot of things that augments New Zealand's advantage at this point. They're chasing on a ground which is known as spinners graveyard, which is known to churn out some important, big totals. Then you've got dew factor in because of the humidity levels in Bangalore right
Yeah,
now, and you've also got rain, which is going to improve. So the advantage is definitely, you would say in a situation of deuce in tennis, advantage New Zealand right now because of the toss. So if you have to negate that, you need to score 350 plus. And the reason I
absolutely.
say that is because the moment you score 350 plus, there's this memory that you unlock in New Zealand's mind when they lost against Australia, or when they
Yeah,
when they were
South
not able to
Africa.
score certain runs against
Correct,
South
correct,
Africa. So
correct,
you
correct.
unlock that memory, where you see the New Zealand were destroyed after that kind of performance by both South Africa and Australia, even mentally, you would say. Now against Australia they did make a comeback, but against South Africa they laid their weapons very quickly. So
Absolutely.
unlock that memory, put that pressure in them, and the first 10 overs will be very difficult to bat. If you get that new ball to move around a bit, especially someone like a Madhushanka and a Chamira, if Chamira is bowling the way he did against India, you
Yeah,
never know, lads. You never know. So I think that's
you
the
never
best way to
know.
go.
So I
That's
think
true.
Sri Lanka are playing one bowler short. I think 20 overs from your part timers is something that is really going to affect them. 10 overs from
Yeah. And
Madhushanka
hence you
is
need
something that
these
they'll look to play out. New
I
Zealand
think
will
and
look to
hence
the
play
you
out.
need
biggest
these last
factor
three
over here
crickets.
is also going to be fielding, Sandipani. That +5, +3 every time they save it, or if you talk about in a game, if they can save 25, 30 runs. That is something which New Zealand has over any other team. That edge which
Yeah.
New Zealand has on the field in
And
terms
also,
of
I think Sri Lanka
throwing
has been
themselves
the
in.
worst team in
But
catching in this World Cup. Worst
you would
fielding
also
side
have to
in
say,
terms of
Abel
catching.
Sandipani, that New Zealand made a lot of critical mistakes against the likes of Australia and India as well.
That was the
So
only two games. I think
Yeah.
India game, I'll just give it. They were still good. Australia game was the only off day for them. Other than that, even against India, they built pressure on
I
India
think
just
the
by their
game against
fielding.
South Africa also they had a really off day in the game against South Africa,
yeah,
especially with the bat.
so it's been still inconsistent. It's not been the New Zealand that
Yeah.
we are aware of in the field.
And
And I
especially you
think,
you have to
yeah,
take this into account as well. New Zealand are coming off from 4 consecutive defeats, out of which where they
exactly.
have considered more than 300 runs in the last 3 games.
Right.
Against
So
Pakistan,
that's my
well, they were
point,
bound.
Sanjivani. If you
Yeah,
get that early advantage away from New Zealand, kind of get that early momentum, then memory will unlock in their heads. Oh, this is
yeah.
probably how we did
Yeah.
lose against the opposition teams as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, just as I say that, there's a little bit of movement for Team Saudi with a new ball. And
Yeah.
Trent Bolt didn't get any, but Team Saudi has, which is surprisingly. Maybe it
I mean,
got
Tim
to do
South,
in
you
the
still
end.
get that because he gives a lot of airtime in the ball in comparison to what Trent Bolt does.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of, I think a very action which is very close to what a James
Yeah.
Anderson has. The kind of
Yeah.
angle
Correct.
that his C movement presents.
Correct.
But
So
even
we have an
then,
interesting question here from SS98: Shubman Gill or Rachin Ravindra? Who would you pick? I would have Shubman Gill. What about you guys?
I think I'll say
Obviously.
something very controversial. I think Rachin Ravindra because he balls a bit. That's all. That's
What
the
about you,
only reason I
Sandeep?
say that.
I think Shubman Gill, because I feel Rachin Ravindra still has a long, long way to go. Shubman Gill has been playing international cricket for 5 years. Rachin Ravindra has been there and thereabouts for the last 4 years, but the only impact that he has actually created has been in this tournament. So I
He's
think he
not
still
been there
has a
for the
long, long
last
way to
four
go.
years. He's just come in 2021.
Yeah, I mean 2 years. I mean he has been there
I
and
mean,
thereabouts. He has been in.
he was never recognized as a batter. You know, like he's been recognized in this World Cup. He used to get batting at like number 8, number 7.
He was a proper, probably a like-to-like replacement for Mitchell Santner, but after this tournament, I think he'll be more of a like-to-like replacement for. I don't think New Zealand have
Henry
had a
Nichols.
spinner. Yeah,
He is a replacement for Henry Nichols in this World Cup.
yeah. I
Or
mean, he's a replacement for Henry Nichols, but I mean, when you talk about like-to-like replacement, I think he right now he'll consider himself more of a batter. You saw he did
yeah.
not bowl even a single over against Pakistan, and in the last game as well. Before that, he bowled only 2 or 3 overs.
Stephen Fleming, Jacob Oram were only left-handers in New Zealand. Now
I think
Neesham
there
is
was
having.
Corey Anderson for quite a long time
No, if you
in
talk about
between,
Yeah.
but yeah.
left-handers, Devin Conway has come in recent past. Then if you talk about, Jesse Ryder was a good one for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've all
I think
had.
So they have had left-handers. They have had quality left-handers, and I would not rate a Jacob Oram as a highly qualified left-handed batter because he was a slogger, and most of his performances have, I mean, excellent performances have come against
You guys
India as
remember
well.
James Franklin?
Yeah,
Yeah, but
He
he
was
also was
a
a very Jacob Oram-like guy. He was never
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah. I
man.
mean,
Yeah.
slogger, but as he progressed in his career, you would see that Franklin would really get promoted up the order in terms of
Yeah.
batting. So I think his
Yeah,
career
talk about
trajectory also followed.
left-handers in New Zealand. Obviously, Stephen Fleming is your number one. I think that's a drop, if I'm not wrong, from Tom Latham.
Yeah, I think it's a drop. If I'm not wrong. I mean, it just seems like the ball slowed down. I don't think a Tim Southee balls the ball so slow that it will stop by the end of 30th circle unless it's touched the keeper's mitt. So I think it's a
I
drop.
don't know if that's a drop or not. Let me just see. Oh,
It
that's a
only
drop.
means
That's a
I
catch.
think
That's
it's
a
the edge.
regulation catch which is dropped.
Tom
Oh
Latham is a
no.
like-to-like replacement for Adam Parore.
Yeah. So that's a major blow. You should pick those catches.
And
That's
I
where I
think
still
so.
doubt Tom Latham as a keeper on certain occasions has been. Oh, that's a wicket. He's gotten him in the next wicket, but it's a Pathum Nisanka this time. But
A
yeah,
very classic Lankan dismissal. I think ball outside off stump goes for that. I wouldn't call a rash shot, but a very loose drive. And I don't know why you would plant your front foot on
no, I
that
could
delivery.
just see the reaction in Pakistan of ecstasy and ooh. That's
Oh
what.
my god! By the way, guys, I was on Twitter today, and I've never seen Angelo Matthews being appreciated by one team as much as the likes of. I mean, the likes of our neighbors. I don't think Sri
Oh,
Lanka
I
has ever
remember
appreciated
Angelo
Angelo
Matthews
Matthews.
used to get a lot of abuses because he had called out for light in Sharjah in 2014 or 13.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this whole Sri Lankan, all Pakistan team was like, he's a cheater, he's this, he's that. Now all of a sudden he's become a legend in Pakistan. Wow. Incredible.
Just how fast
And I think there was also a lot of controversy regarding Angelo Matthews as well because if I remember correctly, it was Senanaike who man-cadet
Yeah, yeah.
Butler, and Matthews was the captain back then for Sri Lanka. So I think he has had his fair share of backlashes as well. Um, I mean, you can bask in the glory of being the first player to be timed out, but I think Angelo Matthews should not be a keyboard person or a keyboard warrior and try and focus on this game
I mean,
and
I
try and
couldn't
be a warrior
believe
for Sri
a
Lanka.
guy would go on to tweet with evidence. That's what we're talking about. Will India play Ashwin in the semis against New Zealand? Left-handers was the Ash. I don't see a change. We are playing in Wankhede. We go in with the same team. There's not a lot of left-handers. I mean, there are a couple of them, and I think Kuldeep Yadav is good enough, and we will go in with
Jadeja
that.
has been bowling brilliantly as well.
Yeah. My last comment. I think you're talking about this, isn't it? We took this already. If this is the one, every international team has become extreme, either complete T20 in between or ODIs. Yeah, what do you think about this? This is a very good point as well. It's nothing like you are the best in all three formats. It's either there or
You
here.
have to
And
understand that these three are three different formats and you have to approach them differently. We have seen a lot of players
I mean,
or a
there's
lot
no
of teams.
consistency in saying that one team is doing well in all three formats at the same time. Maybe you say England just started to do well in all three formats, and that's when their white ball fell. And you can say India is the only team who could say you can say they've not won trophies,
Yeah,
but
but they
does
have been the
an
most
equal level
consistent team in the last
performance in all
decade.
three formats.
No, I think India's
Exactly.
still not been that. I mean, if you look at all three teams, you have to say India's done the best in all three
Yeah, that's what
formats.
I'm saying.
Yeah, but then T20 has been our weakness, I would say, for a
Yeah,
couple of years now.
yeah,
Um,
it still is. It still is. We are behind the eight
I think
ball.
Australia sort of has, been, sometimes doing very well in T20, then not doing well there and doing well in one day, and then kind of switching between the two. I think Pakistan has been the best team. I think they
Right.
have done extremely well at home in one day. Tests, I think they've been the best team.
Pakistan is the best. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They were number one in one day.
Yeah,
Don't
number one
forget
in
that.
test is
I mean,
good.
rankings don't matter now after yesterday, but they were still number one when it used to matter.
Yeah, rankings mattered back then. You
And
know,
talk about
still,
ODI, they
still
have the Champions
Devdas,
Trophy
Dilwale, Bhuvnes, and
2017.
then
Talk about T20, they have the T20 World Cup back in
Yeah, I think
2009.
2017 Champions Trophy was the most significant Champions Trophy in the history of Champions Trophies.
yeah.
Talk
And
about test matches, I think they have had some pretty interesting encounters with Sri Lanka on the pitch.
You know, if only Nepal and Netherlands and all were like test playing nations, they would have had some joy.
Yeah.
no,
But
I think I want to
unfortunately,
ask you guys this: do you reckon that test being so, what do you say, exclusive, is at all any logical? I mean, I still believe that if you're a team that plays in the World Cup, maybe you should be allowed to play test matches as well. I mean,
I mean,
what is the reason we avoid them? I think obviously you don't want a Nepal to play test matches against India yet, but a Nepal can obviously play
No,
test
but
matches against maybe the
I
I
likes of.
feel
think
World Cup should be
it
that
should be
criteria, right?
exclusive. I think if WTC can make it into a inclusive thing
Yeah,
where you can have a table relegation and qualification, at least
That sounds good.
qualification for second tier. I
no,
don't need
I'll tell you the
relegation
reason
per
why I
se.
say that, David, is because now, for example, in Ireland or in Afghanistan, or for example in Netherlands, right, or a USA. USA is a very good example. Now imagine a USA, thanks to MLC, in the next 10 years, becomes a decent cricketing nation. They're never gonna play tests well, or they're not even gonna invest in tests because the way cricket arrived in that country is T20. The way
I think that's
it
what I'm
developed
trying. You
is
can create a
T20.
pool of a second tier,
Yeah,
and whoever does well, I think relegation of the last team and promotion of the first team, not two or three teams. Relegation of the last team. If you're last in the WTC points, go play Test cricket with the lower tier teams. It doesn't matter.
Sounds good.
And
And then I think they will have the Pakistan team will have a specific plan for their first cycle. They'll get relegated first, and then next season you'll have Babar Azam scoring 7 double centuries.
fair enough, fair enough. And I hope those second tier doesn't get recognition of Test. That's my only thing.
Yeah.
Second
I
tier
don't know.
should.
I still think that if by doing this, what you're essentially doing is alienating Test cricket. Because
No, it's not
I don't think.
alienating. I still
But
think
I
a
think
lot of
it depends
teams
on
do
the
not
interest as
want to
well.
play
I
Test
don't
cricket.
think some of the associate nations have it in them to
Yeah, they don't
really
want to
endure
play. It
5 days
just looks
of
like they don't
cricket.
want to play Test cricket. If you ask
Yeah, they don't
a
want to play
Nepal
Test
team,
cricket.
they'd want to. But if you ask maybe a team like UAE, they may like we are not aware of. We don't play
Yeah,
like
but
call it up.
shouldn't they be given that option and not really,
I don't
taken
think they
away
should be
from
given
that?
the option. They should qualify. They should earn the stripes, and that's why I think the
Exactly.
competition will do it.
And I think the World Cup should be a good place. If you qualify for the World Cup, I
If you
think you're
look
good
even
enough
in
to
Test match in the
play for the
top 10,
second
how
time.
many teams are able to compete with each other? Top four, top three. That's it. So
Yeah.
what's the point of having
No, I mean,
non-competitive one
I,
day?
I, I think the tier system works for me, but call it test regardless. Because I think in many ways I feel test cricket gets alienated because
I
the
think you can
teams who
call it
come in
test.
don't feel
Yeah,
like
I
they
think
need to
that
do
then
it.
you should have a proper table for tier one, tier two. I still think
I
you
think
only
the
get a
tier
test
one, tier
stage.
two will
Once you
never
earn
work
that
in
test
cricket.
stages, get into tier one. That's it.
But
Tier two
tier
will
one,
always
tier
be
two
a.
will never work because
I
ICC
think it
tried the
should.
tier one,
I
tier
think
two
that's the
system,
only way.
but teams
I
are
think
afraid.
relegation works. Relegation will now work maybe, but at least a qualification should work. 1 year, every year or every two
Huh,
years,
huh.
one new team get added from tier two.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
also
yeah.
you'll have to understand this that there will be no audience for tier two. I mean, it will not generate too
No,
much
I
of
Yeah,
think
revenue.
I agree in that.
How many
I'll
of you
agree
will
there'll be
go
no
and
audience
turn
for
up
tier
for a
two, but
UAE
then
versus Nepal test match?
there's no
Nepal will.
if you think
Nepal
about
will.
it.
They've got a great crowd for that.
If you think
UAE
about it, there
won't.
are only two countries where you find any sort of viewership for Test cricket. That's not India. You don't get a lot of viewership for Test cricket unless there's some major cricketers
But to be
retiring.
very honest, in
There's only
UAE, if you're
Australia and
giving
England where
test
people
matches
go
of
watch Test
India versus
matches.
Pakistan, also you won't have any crowd.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think maybe
So
for the first series there will be, but if it becomes a regular
look,
place, I don't think.
it's if you look at the conditions in UAE, it's very hot to play Test cricket for first number
Yeah.
one. I mean, I don't even know how Pakistan
No,
play
I
a lot of
think
Test matches
if you
there.
want viewership for India Pakistan Test match, you need it to be in India or Pakistan, and that'll never
Yeah,
happen either
or
for the next
Australia or
50
England.
years.
Australia or England. These are good two other places alternative for you.
Yeah, Australia or England. But in Australia and England, you already get viewership for Test cricket. India
Yeah.
also, I don't think you get viewership for Test cricket.
But
I
that
mean,
is the problem with Test cricket, right? You will have
It
only
depends.
viewership
The
for.
issue with India is, I think there was a very interesting point made by Virat Kohli so many years ago. You should have five centers for Test cricket. Make it a very clear point. Five centers for Test cricket. Now the issue is you're giving a
Yeah.
Test match to a new venue here, there. It becomes so saturated. We will win the.
Oh, we have Virat Kohli in our
My
comment section, it seems.
Don't worry, we'll win the World Cup. Thank
The
you,
run
Virat.
machine.
Run
Thank you,
machine.
Virat, for your
Kohli.
centuries.
Thank you,
Thank
Virat.
you, Virat.
It means a lot. Ek aur century, 15 Chinnaswamy Virat. That's all we are hoping for.
50 at Eden Gardens.
51. Oh, so you're saying Pakistan in the semi-final?
I think that will look really bleak because the way Sri Lanka are playing and with the bowler shot, I think they are going to find it very difficult.
50 at Chinnaswamy, 51 at Mumbai, and 52 at Ahmedabad. How about that?
And I think that is a bit too much to ask from even the best player in the world right now.
He's a run machine, bro. But
Yeah, but
we've not yet seen that hyper mode Virat yet. If he
yeah.
gets into that zone.
No, I think Virat, after becoming a father, has mellowed down a lot. I don't think you'll see
No,
the
I'm not talking
26
about that.
right
I'm
now.
talking
No,
about
but
the
he
zone
hasn't
of
looked to
batting.
be in a
If you
proper.
remember the
If you talk
IPL
about
this
the
year
innings
as
versus
well,
South Africa, he
yeah,
was
if you
struggling.
guys remember the IPL this year, he got one century. He backed it up, back to back to back. So he can do that. He can do that on a good day, and that's something which
Hmm.
I think they'll be very
No,
much
but also
aware
I
of.
think he has. That just goes on to show the quality of Kohli. The fact that he hasn't looked in the best of shapes because you saw in the game against South Africa he was struggling after a certain point of time.
But let's
But
be
he,
honest, a lot of people attracted a selfish jibe on it. Mohammad Hafiz, especially, who sat there and spoke about it.
I think
Michael Vaughan
I think Michael Vaughan took care of him. He
Michael
took
Vaughan took
care
care of
of
it,
it
absolutely.
really well.
Michael Vaughan took care of it with the dismissal of Virat Kohli to Mohammad Hafiz as well. That was classic. So,
I think it's put
let's be
15
honest,
or 28.
that pitch was not a 300 wicket. It was a 240
yeah.
wicket. I don't know how Virat Kohli did it.
Then Virat just confirmed India
No,
was.
I think the start from Rohit Sharma really helped as well. They knew that they were ahead of the ball game, and that
Yeah.
partnership with Shreyas Iyer, where Shreyas Iyer really started to take. Shreyas Iyer started off really slowly. He was at 1.38, was 16 or something, but then he picked up and he realized that he has to be the one to go after the bowling. Hit a
No,
couple of boundaries against Shamsi, and then
he said that
suddenly
in
the
the
momentum.
interview, right? He wanted to be the aggressor. It was Rahul
Yeah,
Dravid who told him to play like him.
I mean, when you're playing with Virat Kohli, any person playing with Virat Kohli in the ODIs, he'll have to be the aggressor because he'll have to understand the role. And I think that is why Team India is so good right now because they understand, they have the role clarity. They know that there is one player that has to play throughout the innings, and then you'll have players who will just come in and slog or yeah, they also have that match understanding to realize that they cannot lose more than 5 wickets before the 45th or 46th over. So they are really, really careful regarding that as well. They know exactly when to accelerate and they are assessing the conditions really well. That has been working really well for them. But
Tomorrow, my
talking,
favorite Ben Stokes
No,
played really well.
Virat, you can remove that asterisk and put an N over there. It's fine.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
fine, it's
fine.
fine.
Say something about my favorite Ben Stokes.
I
Guys
think
want to say
best
something
Stokes is my
about
favorite Hindi word for sure. Aside from that, he's also very. I mean, he plays for CSK, but I think this year he might be released. I have a feeling. That's what I'll
You
say.
think he's
I
going
think he
to
should be
stick with
released.
this?
And the only thing Ben Stokes should do right now is wait for the Ashes
Well, the second
to
wicket
show
which
his.
falls, 10 Bolt gets the hold of Kushal Mendes. Though Kushal Pereira has been the one who's been hitting, but yeah, the second wicket which falls for Sri Lanka.
Also, Kushal
A
Pereira has
very
been the one who
ordinary
looks like
shot.
he's better. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it just seems like I don't know what that shot is, but it's definitely not meant to be played on that delivery. I think you have to play that ball down the
I
ground or maybe.
understand the pressure to score 300 is there, but that
Yeah.
also doesn't mean you play such trashy shots. If you look Kushal Pereira shots, it's been just blind slogging. There's been no proper
Yeah.
elevation, nothing. It just looks like they'll crumble anytime soon. Ben
And I
Stokes
think it
say
just
best.
seems like.
अरे भाई uh, To be very honest,
And they're
we
crumbling
don't,
as
we
well. I
can't
think
say
Sri
it
Lanka
all.
have gone off to a very very
Yeah, I
horrendous
think
start, and they'll
yeah.
have to depend on a
Okay,
Samara
wait. Do
Now
you
the
know
Wickramasinhe
what
very
the
much.
uncertainty is,
circumstances in which
this
New
is the thing
Zealand will have
about
to chase it down?
this is the thing about World Cup matches, right? There's a thing about tournaments like World Cups. There's something the momentum. Sometimes what happens is now Sri Lanka a memory will unlock in Sri Lanka's mind and remember how they were, they crumbled against India or they've crumbled before against
Satyabani or
other.
Jaren, do you guys know how many overs will New Zealand will have to chase it down to have a very superior net run rate?
No, I think for
How not
New
stupid? I
Zealand
think
there
they
is
are going
no.
to anything. They'll be happy with even chasing it down in 45, 46 overs as well.
Yeah,
No issues for them in terms of net run rate. I think New
no,
Zealand
and I
is
think
pretty comfortable on the table.
you
I think
probably
it's
it's not
Pakistan
even
and
easy to
Afghanistan
predict.
that are worried.
It's not easy to predict one for them either because I think if I'm not wrong, out of the three teams, they are the ones who have the superior net run rate. So they
Yeah.
already have achieved it so far, at least for what you have to say. And
Yeah, I'm just
but
looking at some of the shots which is played as well. But why is a mid-on so in the circle? I don't understand. Even in the last match, New
yeah,
Zealand have been poor with some of their tactic, which is so unlike New Zealand. Some of their plans, to ball straight lines to Fakar Zaman in this match, keeping a mid-on
hmm.
very, very in. Come on, man. This is not like New Zealand, to be very honest.
Yeah, I
Yeah, and I
think
think not just New Zealand. I think a lot of quality teams have done that. Had poor fielding. I mean, at this day and age, captains sometimes try to think out of the box, and if it works out for them, they are all heroes. Will come out here. Will praise them for their unorthodox captaincy. But I think the experimentation has been going a bit too wild in this tournament. Not
no, I
from
think
New
even
Zealand, not
Yeah,
just from New Zealand.
and especially
New
with the
Zealand.
Kushal Pereira, who's a tonker of the ball. I don't think you're gonna get any single savings from him. It doesn't make any sense sometimes.
No, I think if you for me, I think right now what their plan is, it's not pertaining to a batter, but it's more pertaining to the length that Trent Bolt is looking to ball. I think he's trying to ball good length deliveries, and the idea of mid-on being up is to maybe force Sri Lanka to try and go down the ground, and hopefully a mistake like what we saw with Kushal Mendes comes through. But then that's still hoping. But I think at the start of the game, maybe it's okay to do that. Try and set a conventional field, maybe allow your bowler to settle down a little bit with Kushal Pereira as well, right? So far, he's made a couple of mistakes. I think there was a catch that almost flew to the slip. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
initially both the batters look a little unsettled and they're not playing to their strengths. But and I think that's the reason why you see a wide slip now. So he's not balling full and delivery, he's trying to ball back of the lane. So I think it makes sense to me at least.
And also, I think
I
Sri Lanka
agree.
should take it easy a bit. I think, like Abel mentioned, the pressure of the scoreboard is trying to get to them. The pressure of having to score in excess of 300. I think they should assess the conditions, and I think they should have small targets. They shouldn't really
Yeah, and
target to. I mean, score 300 plus in 50 overs. The first
I think
target
there's a
should be
wicket.
not to lose too many wickets after 25, 30 overs,
I
and
and
think
there's
there's
no
a
get
need
somewhere
to
wicket.
go
close to
after
100.
balling either. Oh, I
There's a
think that's
wicket.
gone.
Samar
Yeah, that's
Vikram
gone.
is also out. They're
Yeah.
three down already.
Yeah, that's it. It's all working out for Sri Lanka. Not Sri Lanka. New Zealand. They're just balling the right lens, the ball in Test match lens. What you would expect in a afternoon session in India is what they're balling, and they're getting those results because for
I
some
mean,
reason
this
it
is
just seems like
classic dismissal. They kept a wide slip and it fell straight
yeah,
into that.
yeah, and they learn from that. They realize that the Sri Lankan batters are going with hard hands at the ball. Even this dismissal, you see Samara Vikrama pushing at the ball way too hard. It's a nothing shot really. Just hung their bat, hung his
I'll
bat
give
there,
one
and
tip to a Pakistan fan over here. I'll take you guys back to 2021 T20 World Cup. We wanted New Zealand to lose, okay, in order for us to qualify. Never bet on New Zealand to lose. Trust me. It might be your own team defeating them, but I wanted Afghanistan to defeat them, did not happen. Namibia to defeat them, did not happen.
I have to say one
Trust me,
thing.
New
I'm
Zealand.
already seeing a lot of support from Sri Lanka, from our neighboring country for the 12th player in this match, which is the Rain. Interesting to see how they've shifted from Angela Matthews to calling Rain the goat now. I mean,
Even before Angela Matthews came into bat.
I realize one thing that sometimes our neighbors and their support is just like their politics. Every week they have a new,
Yeah,
PCB
it's all over the
chairman.
place.
Every minute they have a new favorite player. Day
Yeah,
before
I
yesterday
agree.
it was Glenn Maxwell. Today it is Angela Matthews.
I mean,
Now it is
I
the
found
Rain.
it cheap from a lot of Pakistani cricketers who take a jibe at Irfan Pathan directly and say Glenn Maxwell is your dad and whatnot. It was cheap, very cheap. very cheap. I mean, that really talks standards and levels of where they are. If Irfan Pathan
No, I
is
think
celebrating
Irfan
with a
Pathan
particular
loves to
team, it's
trigger these
okay.
guys. I've seen that happen. The likes of Virendra Sehwag, Irfan Pathan. Uh, I think these Harbhajan Singh, these lads like a little bit of Pakistani fans triggered. That's even when they played cricket, these lads love to go at Pakistan. So I think that's pretty much. I think an Irfan Pathan will be somewhere sitting and enjoying all this jibes at him because he knows there'll be a day like today where he can give it back. And that's how they go about it.
I agree. I agree.
I think
But
we shouldn't speak so early because I feel I still have a feeling the rain might come in, and once it starts, the weather report says that it is not going to stop. So
no,
it's
no.
all
The
good till
weather
it comes
report
in.
said the rain will be now at 90%. It was supposed to be clear in the evening, so I don't know. It's gonna happen the opposite.
No, I
So
think the new weather report or whatever I heard is around 5 p.m. They are expecting somewhere around 5, and it is
but
expected to
if you
carry
look
on.
at weather report itself, we're just looking at Bangalore. Bangalore is a big city, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
at times it rains in an electronic city, it doesn't rain in the city.
No,
Sometimes it
people when you
rains in
say
Nepal, it doesn't rain in the city. So that is
Yeah,
Bangalore.
but
It's a big
stop
city.
yeah,
giving your
so
excuses for not coming up to events, and just stop blaming rain on it. I mean, you are just wanting to say that it rains on Electronic City and does not rain on any other parts of Bangalore.
Yeah, there
no,
are a
I
lot
think
of times it
I
happens
just
that way because I'll tell you why. Because a lot of
yeah,
rains which come from the Western Ghats, from Krishnagiri or from Hosur
yeah.
of that area, ends up in Bangalore. It rains in Electronic City for a good amount of period. It stops. It doesn't really go to the city. Whatever
No,
rains
if
come
you
from the
look at
other
this
side.
calculation
And
as well,
that
right? Okay,
gives
when you say
Abel
eighty
all the
percentage of
power
rain,
authority to cancel plans.
no, when you say 80 percentage of rain, it does not say 80 percentage probability of rain only. It says 80. It says basically it's a multiplication of the total area which you expect rain and the probability you expect rain. So when you say 80, it could mean probably it could easily mean 40 percentage of the. I mean, it could mean anywhere between 80 percentage of rain in 80 percentage of the probability of rain and 100 percentage of the area. It could also mean 80 percentage of area and 100 percentage of probability. So it just all it needs is for 20 percentage of area that is not gonna rain to be somewhere near the stadium, somewhere near the Chidambaram Stadium. I mean the Chinnaswamy Stadium rather. Or you need a less probability in that area. Either of one of the factors could place in.
Kushal Pereira is turning it on here. He's just going for every ball.
I think Virat has a
He's
few
already at
questions for
10
us that we
runs
have
on
not
this
taken
over.
yet. Oh, he's playing
You know how to
early.
read Hindi, Jaren?
Um, I think I'll
अफगानिस्तान
try.
टीम
My
के
Hindi is
बारे
very
में
bad.
कुछ कहे क्योंकि वे इस साल दुनिया भर में बहुत अच्छा खेलती है.
Oh yeah. All right. Sandipani, since you've read the question, you go ahead with the answer, I would say.
हाँ, अफगानिस्तान बढ़िया क्रिकेट खेली है. इस वर्ल्ड कप के शुरुआत में किसी ने सोचा नहीं होगा कि वो लोग 4 गेम जीत सकते हैं, और बहुत क्लोज थे वो लोग एक वर्ल्ड कप सेमीफाइनल स्पॉट से. अगर ऑस्ट्रेलिया को बड़े मार्जिन से हरा देते तो अभी उनके हाथ में रहता, अभी भी पूरा वर्ल्ड कप का सिनेरियो उनके हाथ में रहता. पर क्योंकि वो हार गए हैं और अभी न्यूजीलैंड अच्छे सिचुएशन में लग रहे हैं, अगर आज न्यूजीलैंड जीत गए तो अफगानिस्तान का क्वालिफाई करने का चांसेस ना के बराबर है. और अगर आज न्यूजीलैंड बड़े मार्जिन से जीते तो पाकिस्तान के भी क्वालिफिकेशन चांसेस ना के बराबर है. तो आपने जो पूछा कि हम लोग क्या चाहते हैं पाकिस्तान और न्यूजीलैंड फॉर द सेमीफाइनल्स, आई थिंक हम लोग हम लोग ऐसे इन पर्टिकुलर कुछ नहीं चाहते क्योंकि जो भी आएंगे इंडिया उनको हरा ही देंगे. आप अच्छा रन करेंगे सेमीफाइनल्स में तो ऑब्वियसली इंडिया जो कोई भी आएगा तो वो हार ही जाएगा आपके सामने. बट
हाँ मतलब आई थिंक मेरे हिसाब से एक चीज तो है कि जो भी हो ये वर्ल्ड कप अफगानिस्तान के लिए हमेशा हमेशा के लिए यादगार रहेगा. पता है भले ही अफगानिस्तान आगे जाके इस पे ज्यादा इम्प्रूव करे या इससे अच्छा परफॉर्मेंस है वर्ल्ड कप में, ये वर्ल्ड कप हमेशा यादगार रहेगा. क्योंकि अगर अफगानिस्तान इस पे और आगे बढ़ती है और इम्प्रूव करती है, एक चीज तो है कि ये वर्ल्ड कप अफगानिस्तान के अगले जनरेशन के जो क्रिकेटर्स हैं उनको जरूर इंस्पायर करेगा. अगर वो
मुझे को तो
सेमीफाइनल में
खास
आते तो
तौर
और
से ये वाला
इंस्पिरेशन
वर्ल्ड कप
मिलती.
याद रहेगा.
बट ये वर्ल्ड कप हमेशा यादगार रहेगा उनके लिए. जब भी अफगानिस्तान और वर्ल्ड कप बोलेंगे लोग तो 2023 का वर्ल्ड कप हमेशा याद रहेगा.
और सब मुजीब का नाम लेंगे और साथ में मैक्सवेल का भी नाम लेंगे.
हाँ ये इंटरेस्टिंग है. मैंने कभी नोटिस नहीं किया था. You get that 4+ there. You've never noticed that before. Interesting to see that. I think they've added a lot of things, right? For example, when a team wins a tournament, you'll see those you see those pipe bomb confetti flying around
Yeah,
and
yeah,
those
yeah.
fireworks with the color. Pretty nice. Hoping
It was a good over, though. It was a very good over for Sri Lanka. Kushal Pereira Looks like a Fakar Zaman kind of an innings he's trying to pull off, but let's see how long it sustains, because
Yeah.
it doesn't look like he's in any control. It's just blindly slogging, and he should know 3 wickets are down at this point.
I think the last shot he
And
played was
I think Kushal Pereira was dropped by Tom Latham, so I think
yeah,
he's thanking his stars and he thinks that he'll have a
he
Maxwell
thinks
sort
that
of
he
a
can
day.
do a Maxwell, huh?
yeah, possible.
Exactly.
I mean, if you want to really score a double hundred in India,
You know,
this
you
is
don't
one of the best rounds to do it.
you don't drop these kind of lads, Maxwell, Fakar Zaman. I think these lads, Pereira, because these lads can do damage, and you want to get rid of them as quickly as possible as soon as they give you a chance. It's not that a second chance won't arrive. It's just that they can go after you for so long that they might just do a damage before they give you another chance. That's
And
the thing
I
about
don't
these
think this New Zealand team is another Afghanistan. They'll repeat the same mistakes that Afghanistan did, because I
Of
think they
course.
bowled to Maxwell's plan.
Yeah, but I think that drop was still very
Yeah.
regulation. So
Very
the
regulation.
longer it continues, the more it'll hurt New Zealand, the more it'll hurt Tom Latham.
I think it's about to bring in someone like a Lockie, because Kushal Mendes will enjoy that pace from Tim Southey. To be very honest, he's having enough time to swing the bat as well. Even if you want, you can bring a Tom.
Pereira, yeah.
You can bring this guy, Lockie Ferguson, or if you want to go a little bit, bring an off spinner as well. Kushal Mendes has struggled against off spinners, often. So these are two
I
options.
think Glenn
which-
Phillips is not a bad idea, but then you don't want an Asalanka to settle either. So I think probably for me at this point in time, maybe hope that you get Kusal Pereira off strike.
And there's something going to happen in this over with 3 balls pairing of Trent Bowles over. If he's going to take
Yeah.
a chance, this is going to be very interesting. And there's another question
Yeah.
as well. Sanibani, you can read it up.
No, I think I'll read this. I took a little bit of time. I'll try my Hindi. I've not read Hindi in 4 years, 5 years, ever since I stopped taking it as a subject.
Yeah, भाई
इस
वो question
साल
पढ़ ले.
I think it's World Cup. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
World Cup.
Vishwa Cup.
वर्ल्ड कप सिर्फ हमारा भारतीय टीम पर विश्वास करे हम अपनी सर्वश्रेष्ठ प्रयास करेंगे. I think I'm proud I read that.
Brilliant. Brilliant
Yeah, I
from
think
Jared.
India is looking like that one team which can dominate. 2003 वाले ऑस्ट्रेलिया जैसे पॉसिबल है कि इंडिया भी लेके जाए, बट एट दिस पॉइंट इन टाइम मैंने तो एक ही स्ट्रेटजी अपनाई है. इंडिया परफॉर्म करेगी, मैं खुश रहूंगा, पर मैं कभी एक्सपेक्ट नहीं करूंगा कि अगले मैच में भी इंडिया ऐसे परफॉर्म करे, क्योंकि अगर इंडिया नहीं परफॉर्म की तो मुझे बैठ के उदास नहीं होना. ठीक है, मैं बहुत धोखे खा चुका हूँ.
I think it's
धोखे नहीं
easy to
बोलूंगा,
say
मैं बहुत-
that. I think it's really, really easy to say that. But if God
तो
forbid
मैं
that
थोड़ा सा
happens, I think
थोड़ा सा
all of us
pessimistic
will be really, really stoked this time around as well.
नहीं, मैं थोड़ा सा पेसिमिस्टिक हूँ, तो मैं यही बोलूंगा, देखो स्पोर्ट है, स्पोर्ट जितना हाई देता है उतना लो देता है. लो आया तो मैं एक्सपेक्ट करूंगा कि बस ठीक है, अच्छा वर्ल्ड कप था, मैंने एंजॉय किया, बट नहीं जीत पाए, बस मैं ऐसे ही जाऊंगा. अब मैं ऐसे ही जाने वाला हूँ.
I'll tell you one
Wrong
thing.
attitude.
विराट द रन मशीन कोहली, इस बार हम हारेंगे तो बहुत दर्द होंगे. ऐसा 2019 जैसा नहीं है, 15 जैसा नहीं है, क्योंकि इतना पास आके हारना तो बहुत मुश्किल चीज होगा.
और इतना dominant situation से हारना.
इतना
I
dominant
think
situation में भी इतना
we'll
match
take
हारा
another
भी नहीं है.
live where we'll get
हाँ.
30,000 views.
और इतने अच्छे टीम भी नहीं मिलने वाला आपको, क्योंकि इतना बेसिस कवर, इतना ज्यादा प्लेयर्स फॉर्म में भी है, ओपनर फॉर्म में है, अब आप खुद फॉर्म में है, और कौन है, और देखिए यहाँ पर 4 और 5 का सिचुएशन भी
No,
settle
you've
हो
got
गया है.
your 4 and 5 is well informed with Shreyas and KL performing.
और सूर्या आने से क्या होता है कि एक्स फैक्टरनेस भी आया टीम में, आके गेम कभी भी पलट सकता है. और जडेजा
Yo,
का
all
form
your
भी
एक
ballers
बहुत
are-
लंबा एक बड़ा
all your ballers
long due है.
क्योंकि तो जडेजा के बारे में हम थोड़ा परिचित था पहले, तो वो रन नहीं मारा था. पिछले मैच में भी अच्छा कामयाब खेला, न्यूजीलैंड के खिलाफ भी 40 रन मारा था. तो हमारा टीम अच्छा लग रहा है अभी. और
अब तो
शमी का
रन भी
bowling
मार
form
दिया है,
भी
अब तो विकेट भी ले लिया, अब तो ऑल योर बॉलर्स, सारे बॉलर्स परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, सारे सारे बैटर्स परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं. सूर्य कुमार यादव वर्ल्ड कप में नहीं परफॉर्म किए भले ही, पर ऑस्ट्रेलिया सीरीज में परफॉर्म किए थे.
आपको
तो
क्या
ऐसा
लगता है
47 बॉल पे 49
गिल
मारा था.
कैसे सारा को डेट कर
किस सारा
रहे
को
हैं?
डेट कर रहे हैं? सारा
अरे
टेंडुलकर
सारा
और सारा
टेंडुलकर
अली
या
खान.
सारा अली
ये
खान.
आप जब गिल के साथ
अरे
खेलते
यार,
हो
आज
गेम
आप
के दौरान.
कॉफी करने के एपिसोड नहीं देखे?
नहीं
सारा
विराट
अली
भैया
खान
आपको खुद पता
accept
होगा ना,
किया है.
आप ही तो खेलते हो गिल के साथ पूरा समय.
हाँ,
तो
गिल ने
आप
आपको
खेलते
बताया
खेलते पूछ
नहीं.
लीजिएगा उनको.
और आप मारते रहते हो गिल के गोटे में, तो आपको पता ही होगा.
Bro, calm down.
Even I think you should stick to English because you don't know what you are going to say in Hindi.
Yeah, it's fine, bro. I mean, it's a very unfiltered show.
Yeah, I think Abel becomes coffee outside Bangalore. He has no filter when he speaks in Hindi. Another bad joke from me, but yeah, I think Abel, you should stick to English. Just stick to
आपको क्या
English.
लगता है? This was a question at गिल और सारा का, ठीक है? I think सारा टेंडुलकर, ठीक है यार, आपको तो पता ही होगा, तो फिर आप
देखो यार,
कंफर्म भी कर दो।
गिल जो भी करे फील्ड के बाहर, फील्ड के अंदर वो बस ऐसे ही परफॉर्म करते हैं।
फील्ड के अंदर एक सेंचुरी चाहिए, because I feel that Shubman Gill is that sort of a player who is yet to come to the fore in this World Cup. I mean, he was dropped in the game against Sri Lanka. He scored 92, but I think he has the potential to score that one big one. So I think Gill and Surya Kumar Yadav are the two players that are still to come to the fore. And I think Surya Kumar
I
Yadav,
agree,
even though he got that 49 or
I think
47,
Gill is a man for the big occasions, bro. Finals, semis, I trusted him totally. I trust in Gill totally.
obviously, and he has done that for Gujarat Titans over and over
Not just
again in
Gujarat, he's done that in under 19 World Cup, in
Exactly.
Yeah.
in domestic cricket, or let it be in IPL recently. He's done well. He's a man for big occasion. I think even in IPL, one of the big times he has scored a big, he scored a big
final,
knock.
right? He scored a final. He scored a winning
KKR
100.
as well, yeah.
Winning 100. I think he scored a winning.
KKR as well, he did pretty well. I mean, Gujarat के लिए हाँ, final में, if not for that Dhoni stumping, he would have scored big. But I think in the semi-final, I think it was from against Mumbai, he scored 100 there, a big one.
Yeah.
And I feel that Surya Kumar Yadav as well, even though he got that 49 or 47 against England, I think he's that sort of an X Factor player. He's a Maxwell sort of an X Factor player who can win you 2 or 3 games in if he plays for 10, 15 games.
Just as you were saying that Kushal Perera has just reached his 50 in just 22 deliveries. I mean, he's the only one who's, if you remove his innings, they've actually only scored 29 runs and lost 3 wickets. So very important.
He scored 19 runs and lost 3 wickets.
19 rather, yeah.
Crazy knock from Kushal Perera himself. But a good power play start rather, if you look in just in terms of run scoring. They've scored runs, but the question is how long can this continue?
And also, I don't think they have the ammunition to go on till 20-25 overs, because after this you'll have Angelo Matthews, Dhananjay De Silva, then you have the all-rounder, the great Chamika Kurukar.
Interesting point, Sandipani. New Zealand and Sri Lanka, both Sri Lankan batting has not even survived till the power play in a few games. But even when they have, power play have been their Achilles heels when it comes to batting. And New Zealand's bowling power play has been their Achilles heels. So the worst bowling team, probably not the worst, but one of the worst, worst bowling teams in the power play, in the middle overs, and one of the worst batting teams in the power play are going to go into the power play. I mean, middle overs right now.
I mean, so they started off really well in the game against South Africa, but after that, I think Sri Lanka has had one of the more horror shows in power plays.
But I think that drop is just gonna be in Latham's mind.
Yeah, it would have been 4 for 19 now.
Yeah,
Sri Lanka would have been staring at a India sort of a performance at this point in time.
But if you look, what New Zealand have also done badly is that they've given him that length. They've given him that length which you can pull. He's a good player.
Yeah, they've kept calling on the 5th leg stump or the 5th off stump, and they've allowed this to happen. I'll agree with you.
You got to.
But I think once the power play is over,
straighter lines, more full to Kushal Perera, make him play those shots, because his slogging can give you a top edge, or it can give you an outside edge at times. We've seen that with Kushal Perera more often than not. So.
But the potency with the new ball is also gone, Abel. So now it's like them just bowling straight deliveries. Batsman can trust the bounce, trust the line to not change a lot, and that's also helping him quite a bit. So I don't think it's completely bad bowling. There's a lot of pressure now that New Zealand find themselves under, and that's contributing to that that bad length. But Kushal Perera is also now feeling like he can hit through the line of the ball, because it's not going to swing a lot. And that's the reason why dropping him with a new ball, such a big mistake, because if this guy can get into that rhythm, that's why I say he's that kind of a batter, like a Fakhar Zaman. Once he gets into a rhythm, it's very difficult to stop him. Very difficult to stop him.
Yeah.
Then he has to make an error.
I agree, but here as well.
But I think the way he's playing, I think the error is going to come sooner or later, because we have seen.
I think there's an appeal for Lanka.
There's an appeal. I think they've gone for the review as
Seems very close as well. I think length is. The length is the only thing that can.
I think if there's one more wicket which falls,
they've gone for a review.
I think Kushal Perera might just look to play a little differently.
No, I think still with Angelo Matthews, I think Kushal Perera will not change his game, but that has been the problem with Kushal Perera.
Behind the mind, all of a sudden, Angelo is an experienced campaigner. He might just come and say, "Let's just not take that risk," because they know this could easily be 100 all out.
How much will Kushal Perera listen? That is my problem. I mean,
but can he play the
Perera's knocks?
That's very close.
That is very close, Abel. Only length can save him.
And he's
If,
not a
if
very
it
tall man, is
bounces,
he?
if it bounces, I
he's
think
not.
it's also hitting the front pad. So maybe that's also a possibility that it might become an umpire's call. But otherwise, I think the length is the only thing. The height can only save him.
Interesting. Interesting from.
Because it's still hit the above part of the knee roll, so it's very much
Uh-huh.
possible that it can just bounce above the stumps. But I think an umpire's call is on its way. I just
Oh,
feel
it's
like
out. It's out. It's
it's
in the
out.
middle. It's
I
out.
think I'm
Yeah.
behind you a little bit.
Yeah. It's out. Fourth
Oh yeah,
wicket
it's
as well.
gone. It's a goner. It's not even close. It's a very good review. Very good review, I would say. A very brave one, but a very good review.
But now
And
I
that's
think we'll
about
have
from
to
us
look
here.
at the
We'll end this
maturity
stream
of
here.
Kushal Pereira as well, because I feel that he hasn't really gone on to score a big 100 in a long, long time, and the maturity is
Ever
what
since that
has really
South
cost him.
Africa Test series, he's not played
Yeah,
an impactful knock, I think.
impactful knock. Now he has
Yeah.
played those 50 ball, 70, 80 sort of knocks in T20s as well,
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
ODIs as well, but that is where he loses his composure and gets out. So I think
I
today
think
he'll have to
after
play
the
a
power
different game.
play, Kushal Pereira sometimes makes those errors. It's a lot
Yeah.
more easier because sometimes you see him playing those shots in the air, which if there were four fielders outside would be an easy catch. So I think once the power play lifted, he sometimes struggles to play that long game, and that's where he gets dismissed. Test cricket, you
But what do you
still
think
can be a
now?
little more
Very
aggressive because
interestingly, will Kushal
oh,
Perez change his game?
guys, interestingly enough, today Angelo Mas is wearing his helmet, and I think Trent Bolt said something to him about it. He's all prepared. It's good to see that. Pakistan's favorite player is out there.
Oh, let's just see how things go. I mean, I hope he doesn't get timed out
I think
today.
right now Kushal Pereira is
No,
Pakistan's favorite
I don't
player.
expect the New Zealand to time him out. Even. They're the nicest guys. I
Oh, that's
expect,
what Kushal Mendes told in the toss. They're nice guys.
I expect a Mark Chapman to run out with a New Zealand helmet if a helmet doesn't work this time around. That's how nice those lads are. I
But for
think
Angelo as well, this
Tom
World Cup
Latham
has
will be
been a
like,
very
use my helmet for
mediocre
the
World
time
Cup,
being.
He's not really stepped up. I think he still deserves to bat in the top of the order. He's batting way too late in this
Who
batting
an
order.
Angelo is. He's got an
Yeah.
average of 11 in this year's World Cup. So I think not at all stepped up. I mean,
I think he was a desperate measure for Sri Lanka. I still
yeah,
don't
he's
feel
not
Angelo
scoring a lot of
Matthews is a
runs this
player.
year. Guys. I think in the
Yeah, I don't
last
see
3
Angelo
years,
Matthews deserving a place in this ODI World Cup itself. And that is coming back to the earlier point which I made about Sri Lanka's cricket standards. I think they have a unfortunately, they have a very, very mediocre set of players playing this World Cup. And hence you see the results. They have been one of those teams. I think if Netherlands would have really played better against Sri Lanka would have been the one with just the one win in 8 games.
I agree. I agree. To be very honest, they got a win against England as well somehow.
and there was
So,
On England's end as well, right? There was total capitulation from England on a flat track. There was an absurd first innings knock that they played. So I think, but I mean Sri Lanka,
Trent Bolt has really balled well today, even in spite of
he has.
Saudi going for a lot of runs. 3 wickets for 26 runs. Really showed his
And
No,
I
class.
I
think
think
with Angelo
that's
Matthews
what we
coming in, we
expect.
can end the live because now he is going to
Yeah.
really take his own sweet time and play a test knock.
Absolutely, I agree. I think we've gone on for an hour as well. Let's come
Yeah.
back, and we'll probably know who the fourth semi-finalist is by the end of today,
Yeah.
almost assuredly. Or we might know, or it might be possible that that's still left open. That's what
Or
a certain
Kudrat Nizam will
source.
strike sometime in the
Who
evening.
knows? Who knows? Kudrat Ka Nizam is a goat Pakistani player. I think people don't
Yeah.
appreciate Kudrat Ka Nizam.
I think
He's
he
the
deserves the
best
man of the match
Pakistani
if
player
he
out there.
wins. If they
Man
go
of
on
the
to win the World
tournament,
Cup.
bro. Man of the tournament.
I
will be
fear
Kudrat Ka
no
Nizam.
man. I fear Kudrat Ka Nizam is what I'll say.
Yeah. So either way, thank you all for watching this. We'll be back soon. Bye bye. And take care all of you. Bye bye.
Good night, guys. Bye bye, guys.